Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining our webinar today. My name is Tasha Podoshinsky and I'm a marketing manager for ReCap 360. For today's webinar, we're looking forward to chatting with you a bit more about reality capture workflows. So as you're settling in, just keep in mind that today's presentation will be about 40 minutes long. We'll take some Q&A at the end. And then at the very end, we're actually offering a promotion. So hang tight and get ready for that. So with that, I'd just like to introduce today's speakers. So from the ReCap side, from Autodesk's team, we have Dominique Pouliquen, and he's the Business Development Manager for our Reality Solutions group here. From 3DR, I'm happy to introduce Dan Mckinnon, who's a Product Manager there. Awesome. So with that, I'd love to just kick it over to Dan and get the webinar started.
Great, thanks for the introduction, Tasha. You guys are all intimately familiar with Autodesk, but I thought I'd just give a quick introduction to 3DR. In the drones world, we are the wise old man. We were founded in 2009 primarily to build this open source flight code that is currently running on more than 750,000 vehicles. We started off building this flight code and then realized we should put it into a box. So we built the Pixhawk autopilot, which allowed anyone to use our technology and put inside his or her flying, swimming, or driving vehicle. This was planes, quadcopters, rovers, all kinds of autonomous robotics. This became the core of many other enterprise drone companies' technologies and was the first core product we released. This is made into 750,000 vehicles, which makes us by far North America's largest drone manufacturer. Then in 2014, we shifted to making more ready-to-fly vehicles with a product called Iris that was primarily for research and development. It's been used by researchers all over the world to study drone machine learning, vision, awareness, and other types of aerial robotics research. This led us to evolve in 2015 to the Solo platform, which is our prosumer model that was the best tool for capturing aerial video. This made it very easy to capture pro-level aerial video and was currently used on some Hollywood sets, including the recent movie 13 Hours. Then, recently we released SiteScan, which is our first enterprise product. What this is the hardware, the software, and the support you need to capture your construction or infrastructure site and inject it into Autodesk tools. So this is the drone that we make, which is the hardware. It's got all the fail-safes and reliabilities and redundancies you'd expect with any modern drone. It includes the software, which is the mission planning app that makes it very easy to fly this vehicle for even a drone neophyte. It includes our cloud, which is a robust content management system for storing all your flight paths and your imagery, and our connectivity to the Autodesk cloud, which allows you to stitch all of these photos into a 3D model, a 3D point cloud, an orthomosaic or digital elevation model, and our world-class support that will make you successful from day one. They'll call you when you first receive the product, help you get the drone set up, help you plan your first flights, help you process your first jobs, and even help you generate worksite deliverables for your customers. I'd also like to add that we're an Autodesk Forge launch partner. So we are one of the first companies using Autodesk's platform. In our case, it's the Photo to 3D service, but we will continue to begin integrating more deeply with the Autodesk web APIs. And we're also a Forge Fund portfolio company. The Forge Fund has invested in a number of companies that they believe are critical to Autodesk's success and the adoption of this platform. So let me briefly go over the agenda for today. First thing we're going to talk about is how drones are being used today on construction sites to increase safety and efficiency. Nearly every major engineering service provider, general contractor, or player in the construction space is using drones to drive safety and efficiency right now. We're going to talk about how. Second, we're going to talk about how you can take advantage of the new relaxed FAA regulations that allow anyone to operate a drone on their site commercially. What was previously quite burdensome is now actually very easy to deploy on every single site. Combined with the ease of use of the drone, this means that these things will make their way onto every site in the next couple years. Then we're going to talk more tactically. How does SiteScan and ReCap 360 work together? This is the complete package for capture and analytics, bundled with all of these Autodesk desktop tools that allow you to do the work that you're already doing. We're going to talk about how you rapidly iterate with conceptual models to make sure that your clients are happy with your designs, and you can reduce the confusion involved in building a conceptual model over, say, an out-of-date Google Earth tile or a tin surface that was given by a surveyor 5 years ago, and make sure that those conceptual models are built with the actual existing conditions. I'm going to talk about how you can use these tools to measure volumes and other assets, to quantify what assets are on your site, to measure volumes on your mine, your stockpiles, and make sure that you're operating efficiently. We're also going to talk about using these products together to clearly communicate progress to clients, be it in a two-dimensional form where a simple report where aerial photos and orthomosaics and contour lines allow clients to see the state of their site, or through 3D model fly-throughs that let clients look through their site in a virtual world. And finally, we're going to talk about using these tools to create unbeatable work proposals that include all the latest technologies so you can show your clients that you are ahead of the curve. Now we're going to leave some time for Q&A at the end. So 3DR's general philosophy in SiteScan is to create a product that allows you to press one button to measure your world so you can manage it. We wanted the product to be so easy and intuitive to use that a 5-year-old could do it, and I think we were successful. I've trained hundreds of people on using this product, whether it's press, whether it's construction managers, whether it's people interested in reality capture, and they're all amazed at how easy this actually is to use. It literally is one button to measure your world, and then all the data are seamlessly pumped into our cloud and the Autodesk cloud so you can manage it using your data and generate nice data products like this report here. Currently, measuring your world is very, very hard. We've all been there. We understand the chaos of a work site. We understand how dangerous it is to be around heavy machinery, how large work sites have many, many independent operators, how it's always hard to understand what's going on. It's difficult to capture and measure assets. Volumetrics are done through laser scans, through traditional surveys, through conical approximations. All of these are difficult and not particularly accurate. With a drone, you can capture all of the data from above, measure assets within 99% accuracy of a traditional survey, and report it back, all within a matter of minutes. It's also very slow to iterate on new designs. You have to measure your world to go into your conceptual model. Those surfaces and those existing conditions that you're putting into your existing model, to your conceptual model, need to be based on some measurement that you've made, whether it's going to the work site, laser scanning, manually measuring, making CAD files, whatever. It's much, much easier to take this drone up, circle your site, and have it capture those existing conditions and put them directly into your conceptual model. It's also very inefficient to collect progress right now. You have to determine, is a concrete pad poured? Am I able to get paid for this? Is a beam installed? Are my pillars installed? These are the types of things that SiteScan allows you to do very, very easily with just a few clicks of the tablet. Where previously you might be going around the construction site with a camera, documenting progress, measuring beams, now it can all be done with a few drone flights and some digital tools. Finally, underlying all of this is that construction sites are very dangerous. We all know this. There's lots of heavy machinery. Oftentimes the sites need to be shut down to make all these measurements. And what happens with SiteScan is all of the work is done above you. It's safe, no humans are placed in harm, and you're able to get all of these measurements without actually stopping any work. This is particularly pertinent in large infrastructure, civil, or mining projects where the sites actually must be shut down to keep people out of harm's way of earth-moving equipment. So measuring that world is hard, but communicating it is actually even harder. Traditionally, in construction and infrastructure, there's a mishmash of 2D plans, 3D models, visualizations, point clouds. This all needs to get pulled into one very robust way of communicating the state of that world and your plans for changing it to your clients. You can see this manifested in the low success rate when bidding for new contracts, even though it takes a ton of time and money to make these proposals. Clients want to see exactly what their world is going to look like after you've done your project. That means taking existing conditions from the drone, importing that reality into your design tools like Revit, building your model around those existing conditions, rapidly iterating with clients back and forth and showing them how your project will evolve over time or taking things in and out as the project evolves. And this allows you to get a much higher success rate when you're bidding for new contracts and ultimately makes your clients happier when what's getting built is exactly what they imagined. There's also client re-engagement that involves the differences between as-built and as planned. Oftentimes, these things begin to deviate and are not caught until it's too late. When you're constantly monitoring your world from above using SiteScan, you can eliminate rework and you can increase client engagement and bring these issues to head much, much sooner. Finally, construction progress is actually very difficult to document. These projects can be massive, they have many moving parts, and placing all of these individual projects on an updated orthomosaic view allows you to communicate with your clients exactly what's going on. You can see this pad was poured today. This beam was installed today. This crane was installed today. This allows you to daily or even hourly update your clients as to what's going on their site. So to solve all these problems, we're finally offering the complete package. We are the only enterprise drone company that couples the hardware that we make, the software that we write, the cloud that we host, and the premier support that we offer to make sure you're successful. We offer the solo drone with its integrated camera, gimbal, fail-safes, flight controller that will fly autonomously without any operator input to capture all the data you need. We have the mobile app that allows anyone to operate this drone without any training and lets you scan, inspect, or survey your job site to capture all the imagery into your note-keeping tools. And finally, we have our cloud that serves as an excellent content management system that allows you to view your old data and process it using tools in the Autodesk portfolio, like the ReCap Photo to 3D service to generate 3D models and orthomosaics, and A360, which allows you to open any of these data products easily in all of the Autodesk portfolio. And finally, we're the only company that has the premier support needed to make you successful. Even though our product is extremely easy to use, our support will be there with you from the day you open it. They'll call you when you receive your package and help you get your drone set up. They'll help you plan your first flights. They'll help you process your first jobs. And they'll even help you build client deliverables that will allow you to be successful and unroll drones into your enterprise. And now I'll pass it over to Dom to talk about how SiteScan is designed to work with Autodesk tools.
In ReCap, we make it available on the Autodesk 360 so that it can be shared with your team members and being then consumed by the Autodesk desktop apps. In the complete Autodesk portfolio now, including AutoCAD, Revit, Inventor, Navisworks, InfraWorks 360, etc., they are all ReCap compatible. So the same point cloud visualization experience that you will have with ReCap is now fully embedded into the Autodesk products as well. And they will use this kind of data for design. You will use this kind of data for design, engineering, or communication work.
Great, thanks, Dom. Now I'm going to talk about how now is the time to begin to deploy this on your job site and in your enterprise. So, as I mentioned earlier, and I think many of you are familiar with because you've tuned into this webinar, it used to be very, very burdensome to fly a drone commercially. You had to be a manned aircraft pilot. You had to file literally 100 pages of paperwork. You had to deal with government bureaucracy. Now the FAA has stepped up to the plate along with the DOT and has reworked these rules, which will go into effect next month. This is actually very simple. Follow some very simple guidelines. Keep your altitude under 400 feet to avoid interacting with manned traffic. Have a visual line of sight on your vehicle at all times. Yield to any manned aircraft that come into your airspace. Fly during the daytime, and don't drink and drone. And these are all the rules that make it very easy. If you'd like to go beyond these rules, you can still file for exemptions, for example, for nighttime operation or other use cases. And the steps that you must take to be able to fly commercially have actually never been easier. You just register your aircraft with the FAA, complete this knowledge test at an FAA test center, and I should say that 3DR is currently putting together a study guide for that knowledge test. and is going to actually provide a lot of practice tests and study materials for any pilots that would like to deploy this commercially. And then you apply online for this certification. So what this does is this allows essentially anyone from your junior level project engineer to a more senior project manager or anyone in between to actually operate this vehicle on the job site. So there's no longer a need for a drone pilot or a hub and spoke model where you have a drone services center built within your organization. This allows you to deploy an autonomous aerial capture unit onto every one of your sites without any overhead or burden. So I'm just going to walk through the data workflow so we can totally understand it. The first step is collecting it in the field. So this is a combination of using the 3DR Solo drone and the SiteScan mobile app. So you fire up the Solo drone in the field, you open the tablet and use your mission planning software. You have 3 different tools built into that mission planning software. There's Survey, there's Scan, and there's Inspect. What Survey does is it allows you to circle your site, and a lawnmower type pattern is automatically programmed over the site where the drone will fly automatically and take all of the pictures with the camera pointed straight down. This is excellent for flatter sites. This is called taking nadir imagery, and it will produce a beautiful orthomosaic or digital elevation model that you can use in your GIS or planning software. And after you've surveyed your site, you'll typically scan the specific buildings or structures on your site that you'd like to capture oblique imagery for. The scan will automatically set up an orbit path around that object and take pictures automatically of the sides of that object. What that allows the ReCap engine to do is create a point cloud or mesh that's going to be photorealistic, and it's going to import into all your existing products. So you can check against progress using Navisworks. You can do some virtual design using Revit, and so on and so forth. Then the drone lands, and all the photos are tagged with the rich metadata from the flight. So the photos now have the lat long, the altitude, the heading, the gimbal pointing appended, and they're uploaded to the 3DR Cloud. A 3DR Cloud is accessible from both our web and mobile apps and serves as an excellent content management system for understanding where and when all your photos are taken. So if you'd like to go back and say, I want to see where there are 3 cement trucks here on Tuesday as I called in, you can go and you can see where those photos were taken, where the cement trucks were supposed to be, and what time. You can go to your safety manager and you can say, was everyone wearing a hard hat today in this site? And you can go and you can see those photos. So you're able to go back and through space and time understand exactly what was going on in your work site. Next, there's a single button in the app that pushes them to the Autodesk Cloud. So what this does is it pushes the photos to the ReCap 360 Photo to 3D service. So in addition to having the raw photos tagged with all this information, the ReCap service processes the photos into 3 different types of reality data. GeoTIFFs, which have ortho views and digital elevation models, which again are used in your planning, GIS, or virtual design software, and your 3D point clouds, which are available in RCS, which is Autodesk's point cloud format, or LAS, which is an open point cloud format. And this is used in the virtualization and conceptual modeling software in addition to real engineering software like Civil 3D. And then 3D meshes, and these are photorealistic 3D meshes that make excellent marking materials for your job site. And again, we offer the OBJ, the FBX, and the RCM formats. And then they're consumed in the Autodesk desktop products. And Dom briefly touched on these earlier, but because ReCap 360 Pro makes these file formats seamlessly integrate with Revit, Navisworks, Civil 3D, and so on and so forth, you actually can use this product without disrupting any of your existing workflows. So instead of relying on surfaces that a survey firm or a client would give you, you can just generate your own surfaces and use them in Civil 3D just like you would anyway. So the box right here is what 3DR provides with SiteScan, the tool for collection, the tool for processing and managing the data, and the tool for automatically generating the point cloud. And this is what Autodesk provides. And I'm going to turn it over to Dom to talk a little bit about Forge and how we're working with Autodesk with this product. So go ahead, Dom.
Yeah, 3DR as a partner, 3DR is one of the first companies to embrace the Forge platform and to be able to build their own side scan app on top of our web APIs. Particularly, they've been using what we call the Reality Capture API, which is a photogrammetry engine. So this engine that will turn your photos into 3D data. The Forge initiative is a new initiative from Autodesk that started June 15 this year. It's a collection of web APIs that third-party software developers can use to develop their own web apps that will seamlessly integrate with the Autodesk portfolio. So very interesting initiative. It's purely a consumption-based business model. If you're interested by knowing more about all the APIs available in Forge, not only the photogrammetry one, but every other, please go to forge.autodesk.com.
Cool, thanks a lot, Dom. Now I'm going to walk through how this actually works. So here's a quick video that shows the process and collection step of this workflow. And now, forgive me if the video gets slightly off timing for what I'm talking about, because sometimes the steps actually take longer to explain than happen, or vice versa. But this is what happens in the field, is you get to your job site and you fire up the mobile app. You see here there's those three tools, inspect, scan, and survey, and it's overlaid by a video of what the drone is actually seeing from the camera. So in this case, we're at a reservoir that's under construction. They're doing some excavation up in the Berkeley Hills. So what we've done is we've used the maps view. We can also pull up an ortho image to plan on, and we planned a survey at medium altitude over this excavation site. So what we've done is we've used the pen tool. We've circled the site. You'll notice that the flight path and photo locations were automatically generated, and then the user just had to swipe sideways to get the drone to take off. You'll notice the drone is taking off all by itself without any input from the operator at all, and we can see where the drone is on the map and what it sees with the video. And off in the left-hand corner of the video, you can actually see the side of the site. So the drone will automatically travel to that side of the site without any input from the user, and once it reaches its first waypoint, it's going to start taking photos. And you'll notice you can see it starts taking photos as the live stream from the drone begins to blink in and out. It's taking photos at an exact interval that 3DR and Autodesk have worked together to assemble to make sure that we're going to get the highest quality ortho view and digital elevation model from the ReCap engine. So in this case, these photos are triggered every 100 feet or so, and the drone will continue to take this nadir-style imagery over the site. And at this point, it becomes boring. The drone will follow its path. The operator can do actually nothing at all. Have a lemonade, sit down, enjoy the sun. This is something that becomes very, very easy to do. In fact, it's so boring that we just skip to the end of it at the video. So the drone goes and it collects all the imagery over the site that it needs both to capture the reality of the site and create this digital elevation model, point cloud, mesh, and orthomosaic using the ReCap engine. And once it's finished its job, it actually automatically will come back home and will begin to land. The same behavior would be triggered if it, say, ran low on batteries, if it lost link, if it had any other issue. Its default behavior is just to come back to the operator. So all of these types of fail-safes that people used to worry about in the drone world are gone. So as the drone is landing, it's actually sending over its flight logs. So the mobile app and your 3DR cloud account knows exactly where the drone was and where the gimbal was pointing and where the drone was pointing. Then it uses that to geotag all the photos the drone has taken. So now the photos are appended with the location information, the time, the place, and so on and so forth. And then these photos are immediately available for viewing on the map in a mobile app. So you can see here's our flight path, and each one of those icons represents where a photo was taken. We can see all the photos displayed on a screen. This allows us to very rapidly determine what is the status of the site above. Immediately after your flight, you can see where the photos are taken, what am I looking at. You can swipe through these photos, just do very simple checks in terms of asset management. Did I call in 4 trucks today? Are 4 trucks there? You can zoom in, you can zoom out, you can share the photos, and you can use it to check all the progress going on your site. So Then, once you have all of these photos, what you're going to do is you're going to actually upload them to the 3DR cloud. So to do this, you have to be connected to the internet, and that can be either over an LTE connection or a Wi-Fi connection, depending on what you have. And then all of these jobs are now available on the internet. From here, they're in our cloud, and you can share them with other SiteScan users. You can share them with your clients. You can share them with your partners. You can view all of your old jobs in the mobile app, both with a ortho view overlaid or with a map view. And you're able to actually use this mobile app to create your 3D model of the drone. So by clicking a simple button, rather than going through a whole series of steps where you have to be a photogrammetry expert, you can just select what data types you like, and the jobs will get sent to the Autodesk cloud for processing. You'll notice you see that ReCap Job 2 card ticking along, and that means that Autodesk servers are making your job. This typically takes a couple hours, and then it will return the result to you in either the web or the mobile app. So what we've seen here is we actually logged on to the SiteScan mobile app. So what this allows you to do is view all your jobs from any web browser. So you don't have to have the mobile app there. So you can send a link to one of your partners, and you can say, I want you to see all of these photos. You can download all of the images. You can process the job again for a different file format, or if you'd like to add some photos or combine 2 flights, you can process 2 flights in one job. You can download all of your previous results. And if you'd like to add, say, photos from the ground or photos from anywhere else, you can actually do that by creating a brand new job. So this part of the demo is a little bit long, so I'm just going to stop this part of it. But you can see that this web app allows you to explore all your data from any web browser. So we'll move on to what you do with the data. So let's say you've done your flight, you have your data, what do you do with it? Our first benefit that we're going to talk about today is rapidly iterating with customers for preliminary designs. So you've all had this experience where you're trying to build a conceptual model on top of a Google Earth tile or a surface that a surveyor shared that's out of date, or any other kind of context that's actually not appropriate or not accurate. So what you can do with a drone is put those existing conditions in that context right into your virtual design. So I'm going to show you how this works. So we've flown the drone, we've scanned an Oakland train station, and we've generated a point cloud. So the first thing we're going to do is going to go into the ReCap 360 Pro desktop application, which I have right, oh no, uh-oh. The beauty of live demos. Okay, that's okay. We can open it back up. And we're just going to take a look at how this works with ReCap 360 Pro. And now this isn't exactly the same project I wanted to say because it wasn't all queued up, but we'll just show a similar one. So in this particular case, this is a point cloud that was generated by both combining a drone scan and a laser scan. And we can pull this into the ReCap 360 Pro desktop app to do all our preliminary cleaning and editing. So this is a little preview of what's to come. In this case, you can see that I've actually combined a drone scan and a laser scan. So you'll see I have this very good detail of this truss structure from the laser scan, and then I have this amazing context from the drone scan. And then what you can do in ReCap 360 Pro to get these point clouds ready for all of your conceptual design is you can establish a limit box. So you can crop what area of the point cloud you'd like to import. So you can see right here that I've removed the exterior of this site because I'm more focused on this building. I can take measurements. So if I want to briefly annotate or measure this point cloud and have that come into other products or share, I can take a measurement so I can see that this particular roof is 7 meters tall. And I can use it for classification. So this is very important for bringing it to tools like Civil, where I can select, say, a surface like this, the roof, and I can add this to roof. So if I wanted to do any particular work in any other products, these classifications would all show up. So I can see my different scan regions and my roof. And this is actually a very convenient tool for doing this. So now that we've prepped our point cloud, we're actually going to go into Revit, and we're going to see how this is used for conceptual modeling. So Dom, I'll turn it over to you to walk through this demo.
Yeah, this is, thank you, Dan. This is a very short video showing how we can leverage UAV-based point cloud inside Revit for conceptual modeling. So once the point cloud has been edited in ReCap, we turn that into a RCP, RCS file, and that could be imported seamlessly into any Autodesk software, as I said already, being Revit, being AutoCAD, being Inventor, etc. And this is where you will start your design and engineering work. So not being a Revit expert, I just see that here the user is using the standard Revit tools for, snapping on point cloud, for, clipping point cloud, in order to start the design is willing to do in this very early stage. So this is a very short video. The idea is that it will take only a few hours to create a BIM model from this point cloud. Just to show one example, the user here has been creating some parametric models of the windows of this building by using the Revit tool and by snapping to the points. So this is just a short example. Again, what we want to leverage here is a full interoperability between ReCap on Revit, being for laser scan point cloud, but also UAV point cloud, and for your design work. This is what you can do then for, once you have a Revit model, you can do anything like design, simulation, or rendering.
Great, thanks, Dom. So we saw how we could evaluate, say, a different window renovation in that Oakland train station. We'll actually return to that model later in this webinar. So let's talk about our second benefit. Our second benefit is all about asset management on site. So specifically, the use case we want to talk about is volumes, specifically saving money calculating volumes. So as you all know, currently calculating volumes is a huge part of managing a stockpile yard, a mine, or a construction site. And it's also difficult and cost-intensive to do. You can laser scan, but sometimes you miss the tops. You can make conical approximations. You can try to manage it. There's really not a great tool. You can survey the piles, of course, to determine what kind of volumes you have on site, until now. So what we have here is we have a stockyard of a variety of different soils that's near our office in Berkeley. And this company in particular is doing a lot of business with these different types of soils and needs to know what their volume is at all times so they can determine can they fulfill orders, how to minimize inventory to minimize the cost of carrying inventory, but how to make sure that they're able to fulfill these orders at all times and when to order and what's the minimum stockpile that they're comfortable with. So we did a little study with them, tracking their volume over time and seeing how this worked. So we see on day one, they have about 1,700 cubic yards. Then they've got a big order by day 8, and you can actually see that from the aerial imagery as they took a huge slice while simultaneously getting a new shipment in on the right. And that dropped them down to 1,600 cubic yards. This is actually below the threshold that they'd like to keep on their site. So they ordered another large order that you can see came in here, getting them back up to 1,900 cubic yards, which is a more comfortable inventory for them to be on. And then again, they got another big order, dropping them back down to 1,700. So what they're able to do with this tool is actually make sure all of their inventory and enterprise planning is done appropriately with a 10-minute flight every day and about 2 minutes of this workflow that we're going to see next. So you can see how they did this here is they were actually able to integrate these data directly into their accounting process and make better business decisions for this. Again, this is just a simple use case. This is a stockpile yard in Berkeley, but this has huge ramifications across mining and construction where knowing volumetrics are actually extremely important to managing your business. So we're going to walk through how to do this in an incredibly simple tool that's actually free called Remake. So now let's go to this live demo here. And let's take a look at Remake. So what we have here is we have actually the RCM mesh that was generated by SiteScan. So this was a survey that was, again, automatically taken by the drone. So the operator came here, circled the site. All of the photos were taken automatically, and then they were stitched together into this beautiful mesh that's visualized here in Remake. So just to give you an idea of how nice this looks, we'll scan around. I know that there's a little bit of lag on the webinar, but you can see that this is actually a very, very nice 3D mesh of this site. And so what we're going to do is we're going to calculate a volume using this, again, free, very easy to use tool in 5 minutes. So we can take this volume right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the volume I'm interested in using this lasso tool. I'm going to drag around this volume, and I have my selection. And again, here, because it's for a demo, I don't particularly care that it's exactly right, but you can, of course, add and change this selection to get the exact volume you need. I'm going to invert this selection, selecting the entire exterior of this mesh, and then I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to delete the selection. And for those of you who would like to do this at home or with a sample data set, we actually have this tutorial both in a video and in text for you to follow along with. So now I have just my dirt pile. So what I need to do now is set my bottom plane. So this is exactly the same as setting the bottom surface in Civil 3D, except it's much easier and much faster to use. So what I can do is I can use this slice and fill tool right here. So I'm actually going to slice and fill to create this bottom plane. So I can move the bottom plane up and down, and I'm going to move it to the bottom plane of my dirt pile. And what you'll notice is this is slightly off axis, and there's a slight slope to that dirt pile. So what I can then do is transform this plane, and I actually can rock it side to side. So I'm able to take accurate volumes on a hillside as well. So I'm going to use these two tools, and I'm going to approximately say that this is the bottom of my dirt pile. And again, you can do this much, much more carefully when you take the time to do it. And I'm going to say apply. And now what's happened here is this model has actually been filled, so it's now a solid rather than a surface because I put that bottom surface on. So what we can do now is we can actually do all our measurements on it. So if we'd like to just measure a linear distance, you can see we can do that. If we'd like to measure this volume, we just select the entire dirt pile or the area that we'd like to measure, and we use this Analyze Mesh Report tool. And what this lets me see is that the surface area of this mesh is about 1,600 meters squared, and the volume is about 2,500 meters cubed. So you can see how combining a very simple, easy-to-use flight planning tool in cloud in 3DR SiteScan and a very nice free tool that Autodesk offers called Remake, you can get to a volume with literally 20 minutes of effort. This kind of workflow is going crazy across the entire country. In fact, there was just a very nice article in a large newspaper about a landfill manager that is now saving $17,000 a year for doing this kind of volumetrics instead of the surveyed volumetrics that they used to previously do. So now let's talk about our third use case. And I'm going to turn this one over to Dom. So I'll play your video.
Yes, thank you, Dan. This is a new feature that is not yet there, but will be released very shortly. The idea is to make, this is what we call fly inspect. So we are going to make the ortho view on the digital elevation map being available for viewing on interacting inside the web browser. Today we only have the 3D model with the photo texture mesh, but this is going to be added very soon. And you see that this orthographic view is geolocated, so you can locate that on the map. It's all geolocated from the GPS information that was tagged into the source photos. And the goal of this tool really is to be able to inspect, measure, tag, and annotate your projects by using the ortho view or the source images as a reference. By interacting with this 2D, what looks like a 2D picture, you can really get actually 3D data. You can measure your project by clicking a few points on the on the orthographic view, and you'll see that not only we get linear distances in 2D, but also in 3D. We take the elevation into account when doing that, because for every pixel of this orthographic view, we have the exact XYZ coordinates. Another very interesting feature that we introduce with this is the capability to browse your nodes, to browse your measurements, and so record all of that. And also we have what we call the best view feature. So let's say you want to find very fine details about anything on this building. So we know the orthographic view is an interpretation of the source images. So what we do, you click a point, any point on the orthographic view, and we will automatically find the best source image looking at this point. Okay, and then by accessing the source photo, you can have the best possible information that you can again tag and annotate to detect cracks or to detect any kind of defect. So this is really a new feature that will be out very shortly, in a few weeks from now. That's made available under the ReCap 360 web service, which you can access through recap360.autodesk.com. And please feel free to use it and get us some feedback. This is all about inspection workflow, and hopefully you'll find it very, very useful.
Great, thanks a lot, Dom. So now let's talk about the fourth benefit to this technology of being able to easily and autonomously capture your site. This is built into two components. The first is just being able to clearly communicate your progress to clients using the photos and the orthos. So here's a sample report that we generate in the SiteScan app, and you can see that we've just got the ortho photo with some contours laid over it and 3 photos from the drone. These are all scaled. This has all of your company logo on it, and what you're able to do is use these reports to kind of generate daily status updates. We've dug this pile, we've dug this trench, we've poured this foundation. This is something that's actually very, very challenging for our customers to do without using aerial technology. And well, you can do this in a nice to read printable format like this that allows customers to hand this to people on site or building owners or whatever other stakeholders might want to print it out for them. There's also a nice way to do this using the meshes that are generated. So coming back to this Oakland train station, we can see how we've generated a 3D fly-through of this mesh that allows you to actually fly around the model and specifically show customers what you want to show them. So for this example, we envisioned that this Oakland train station hypothetically wanted new windows that were going to be built inside of Revit. So what we did is we flew the entire train station, and I'll just play it again so we can see it again. And what we did is we just zoomed into the points of interest so you can see the existing conditions of those windows. And this is actually much more flexible than going and just flying the drone there, because what you're able to do is if the client wants to see another window or a part of the roof or a doorway or something else entirely, you're actually able to generate whatever kind of fly-through they'd like to see. And again, this is very easy to use using the free tool Autodesk Remake. So I'm just going to go over how to do that. So here we are with the Oakland train station right here. And what you'll notice is that you see a bunch of exterior areas that actually haven't stitched that well together because they don't have the correct side lap or overlap because they just happen to come into the model. The first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to crop that. So again, we select and we invert our selection and we delete. And now we have a very nice cropped 3D model that's photorealistic and great for marketing and updates for your clients available. Now, it's really nice to be able to share the 3D model itself and view it, and you can do that using the ReCap 360 web app or the A360 web app, and there's very nice ways to share the 3D model, but sometimes working in 3D is intimidating for your stakeholders. They actually don't have the know-how to be able to navigate around these models or understand how to open them or even be comfortable opening them with software. So what you can do too is generate a video of the pertinent points. So to do this, you just click the export button, you click export video, and you click this keyframes video. So what you're going to be able to do is automatically generate a video that will encapsulate all of those keyframes you care about. So let's say that your customer wants to see an overview of the station. You can mark a keyframe. Is very interested in this wall along the roof. You can mark another one. Wants to look at these windows. We'll mark another one. Wants to look at the larger windows in more detail. We can mark another one. And wants to see what's going on with these faux windows on the roof, and we can mark a third. And then what we can do is we can just export this video and upload it so they can share it or you can share it. So all we do is click export, and we'll export that video, and then in a few minutes what will happen is a beautiful fly-through video will be created that you can share with your customers. And I don't want to wait for this to process, but it's going to look very similar to the one I showed before. So finally, I'd like to share benefit number 5, which is just driving revenue with cutting-edge technology. We're all here today because we love virtual design and construction. We see this technology as the future. There's 4 very clear use cases for why this is going to be on every construction site within the next year. But let's talk about number 5 too, just the technologists in us. Using these tools, we actually can create virtual environments using tools like Stingray to allow the customers get inside your work site. So what I have here is just a screenshot from a sample project. Sorry, I don't have a video, where my virtual character that I can use virtual reality to get his world is walking around this work site. It's a really amazing tool that you can use to share your vision with your customers and show them that you are an innovator in this space and you are a first adopter of early technology. In fact, there's a partner of ours that bid on a $200 million job in Australia and was able to get that job, they believe, because of the laser scanning and drone scanning and virtual construction they had done, whereas their competitor had just placed a pile of blueprints on their client's desk. So this is something that is in the future and is going to be the future. So I'd like to leave you with some key takeaways. The first is true. Drones are easy to fly, and everyone will be able to fly a drone commercially. Never has it been easier to fly a drone and capture aerial imagery. The Solo Drone and the SiteScan app and our support allows anyone to get up and running within a few minutes. This is something where I train people in the media, partners, customers. I've done this many times, and it's always amazing to see how surprised they are at how easy this is. Couple that with the FAA relaxing its regulations for commercial operation, this is going to be a key piece of construction in the future. Following up with number 2 is reality capture with drones is going to be necessary to win projects and monitor progress in the very near future. This is the kind of technology that's going to be on every job site within the next couple of years. Companies are already adopting it very widely, and these new regulations and these new technologies like 3D site scan are only going to accelerate that process. What we're seeing is that this is going to be necessary, and it's so easy, so inexpensive, and so accessible that you're going to see this on every job site in the very near future. Number 3 is also true. We are the only complete enterprise solution that includes the hardware, the software, and the support that needs to be successful. You put together the Solo hardware, the SiteScan software, the 3DR cloud, ReCap 360 Pro, and the related Autodesk tools, and it's backed by 3DR and Autodesk's excellent support that help you be successful. And we will walk you through this process from the moment you open the drone to your first flight, to processing the data, to even post-processing the data and helping you with client deliverables. Our goal is to make you successful, and we've set up our product to do that. And finally, with this Autodesk 360 backwards cloud compatibility, you can use these data with every Autodesk tool. You don't have to disrupt your existing workflows. You can put the models into InfraWorks and show your infrastructure proposals. You can make surfaces in Civil 3D, do virtual design in Revit, make VR experiences in Stingray, and just do simple fly-throughs in Remake, or view the point clouds and edit the point clouds in ReCap. So this is something that just injects seamlessly into the workflows that you know and love. So I'm going to turn it back to Tasha for Q&A, and we'll answer some questions and talk about promo codes.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Dan, and thank you all again for joining. I hope you found the webinar super insightful, and I know we've gotten an influx of questions as the webinar has gone on. So we're finishing just about on time. We have maybe 10 more minutes to continue to field those questions. So if anything comes up, just keep sending those our way. And if there are any that we cannot get to for some reason, we'll be sure to follow up with you individually after the webinar has actually ended. And just to confirm, we will be offering a recorded version of this webinar as well. So if there's anything you missed from earlier, you can go back and pause and rewatch some of those awesome demos that you saw or the videos. Awesome. So just taking a look at what's next, like I mentioned, we'll have a recording of this webinar available on the ReCap 360 blog. I'm sure 3DR will be hosting it as well, and we'll email it out to the group just to make sure that you have it on hand. We have a couple resources listed here that are super helpful. So if you want to now, you can go ahead and jot them down. You can also just access them once we send out the recording of this webinar. But one of them is applying for a remote pilot license. You can do that at faa.gov/UAS. And then we have a few handy resources just getting you directly to those products that we covered and talked about in this webinar. So you have access to SiteScan now, Autodesk ReCap 360 if you haven't downloaded that yet, Remake, Stingray, and then finally Revit. Awesome, and now the moment we've all been waiting for, I'm sure. Thank you again for coming. The promo code that you can use to get 20% off of 3DR hardware and software is reality capture, just as one word. As a reminder, that promo code is good just through the end of this month, so you have just a few more days to go ahead and use that, so we definitely encourage you to take advantage of that before it ends. I believe that's it from my end.
Great, so we will start answering these questions. So we have some questions up on the board that came in. First one is, let's talk about accuracy. Do you have proof? Yeah, let's talk about accuracy. So there's two ways to measure accuracy with, let's say, an orthomosaic. You can do it with manual ground control points or without manual ground control points. So if you look at an orthomosaic and you compare it to surveyed ground control points and you actually don't inject those ground control points into the processing, the accuracy will be very typical of GPS accuracy, which is about 5 meters. So any given point might be 5 meters off of your surveyed ground control point, which is exactly what you'd expect given the standard GPS accuracy that is found on the drone. That's kind of the worst case scenario, but that's a good number to quote. So if you don't have ground control points, this is great for updates, for marketing, for context, for conceptual design, for things where you really don't need engineering level accuracy. Now, what you can do next, though, if you do want that engineering level accuracy, you can actually place manual ground control points. And there's a tutorial that I've written that's on 3dr.com/support/sitescan, and it talks about how you add ground control points. And once you do that, we've done a number of studies showing what our accuracy is, both we and Autodesk. We have a white paper up on our website in the knowledge base that shows we're getting kind of low single-digit level accuracy when we leave about 5 out of 10 of our ground control points free to float. So kind of low single-digit centimeter level accuracy you'd expect from the ortho. And then we've done the same thing with Autodesk with the 3D models, and we've seen similar results. So you can get very, very good accuracy with manual ground control points, but of course it depends if those points were placed correctly, and there's some know-how involved in that. The next question is, I already own a Solo and a Pixhawk. Can I use SiteScan? Right now, SiteScan only works with the SiteScan hardware package, but we'd encourage you to get in touch with our sales team to see what we can do to get you upgraded to that package. The next question is about being able to fly commercially. So what do you have to do with the FAA? So next month, these rules will become real, but the steps were generally outlined on that earlier slide, is that you must pass a knowledge test Again, we're going to put a study guide and some sample tests up on our website to help our customers and frankly anyone else who'd like the help pass that test. You must go to a drone center and get your license, and you must register your hardware. And all of that is available online. So next question is, how can I buy and what is the package? So we sell both direct and through a rapidly growing list of Autodesk resellers. I actually don't have the most updated list as to what resellers are working with us, but I'll provide that in either follow-up or in at the end of this Q&A if somebody can pull it up fast enough. But the package includes the SiteScan hardware, which is solo, camera, gimbal, tablet, everything you need from a hardware perspective. It includes a license to 3DR Cloud, which is all your content management system, unlimited storage and sharing and access to our web app. It includes unlimited processing in the ReCap cloud and access to all of those products. And it includes our premium support, which is this awesome group of engineers that's going to walk you through being successful from start to finish. The price is a little bit less than $10,000 for all of that, and it's available right now. After your first year, after you've purchased the hardware and you just want the license, it's something like $4,000, but the exact price is on our website. Cool. Well, I guess that is all of the questions. We'll be answering all the questions that were chatted in soon, and we'll send those out to the audience, and we will get a list of all of the Autodesk resellers that we're working with to help all of their customers be successful. So thank you very much for tuning in, and look forward to the next one. We'll be doing another webinar with Autodesk and SiteScan coinciding with the next release, talking about building laser scanning into this workflow as well. So we hope you tune in for that one as well.